Most teachers think that praising their dancers helps to build confidence, but the research actually shows that it can backfire on us and create praise-dependent dancers. There's a difference between a dancer who is confident themselves and one who is dependent on your confidence in them. So how do you know which ones you're dealing with? There are actually some behavior signs. If your dancer is praise dependent, they seek a lot of feedback. Everybody wants feedback. It's validation. Everybody wants to feel like they are seen and they matter. And I get it. Feedback is important. But your praise dependent dancers want validation after everything. Another sign that your dancer might be praise dependent or praise motivated instead of intrinsically motivated is that if they don't think you're watching, they don't try very hard. This one drives me nuts because A, I'm a good teacher. I see a lot of things. And B, there's a wall of mirrors in that room. The odds that I can't see you are pretty low. And also, why would you be in class? I don't get it. But if someone is very good and very on it when they think you're watching, and then they're like, once they think you're not watching, that's a sign that they value your praise more than they value their own work. Another sign that your dancers might be praise dependent is they shut down when they get corrections. Because to them, corrections are not a form of feedback. Corrections are the opposite of praise. And the thing they want, the thing they crave, the thing that they are pinning their perception of themselves on is now not there. Another sign of a praise-dependent dancer is that they need reassurance before they even start the new challenge. If you introduce a step and somebody needs reassurance that you think they can do it before they will even try, that's a sign that the praise for doing it well is what matters to them, not achieving the skill. If the dancer doesn't need to get it right and therefore get the praise, they tend to just try it. When you give a combination, they're like, all right, cool, I'm in. This looks like fun. Or, okay. It's okay to be like, if I told you to do 32 pirouettes from fifth, like plie, pirouette 32 times, and you've never done it before, you're not going to be like, cool, no problem. You're going to be like, and then if you are not praise dependent, you'll be like, okay, she asked for it, and you'll go for it. One more sign that your dancer might be praise dependent is that they constantly compare themselves to other dancers. They compare themselves to older dancers at the studio. They compare themselves to their peers. They compare themselves to younger dancers who have a lot of natural facility or who have gone through like a growth spurt in terms of their progress. They compare themselves to dancers they've seen on social media. They compare themselves to professional dancers. They compare themselves constantly because what they're doing in their brain is evaluating how likely they are to get praise. We all compare ourselves. It's normal and it's human and it can be productive, but only to a certain extent. And praise-dependent dancers go way past that extent. The anecdote to this would be dancers who are intrinsically motivated and who are not dependent on you. They don't need you. Yes, they need your guidance, but they don't need you to tell them that they're doing a good job, to know that they worked hard. We can't forget these kids. We can't not give them any positive feedback, but they have their own unique behavioral traits that help us see what their motivation is. So let's talk about these behaviors. Your intrinsically motivated dancers, your more self-confident dancers, will be the ones who can accurately self-assess how they did and make plans for improvement. These are the kids who will be in the studio after class working on their pirouettes, and you'll listen to how they're talking to themselves, and they'll say things like, okay, I'm going to work on keeping my left elbow lifted, or okay, I'm going to work on getting into my releve faster. They're looking at what is it about the turn that needs to improve, and their self-talk isn't like, oh, stupid, do it again, right? The turn needs to improve, not the person. This is one of my favorite behaviors of a self-aware and self-confident dancer, their effort in class is consistent whether they think they're being watched or not. Because they are not in class to get praised. They're in class to get better. They are in class to meet their own goals. And whether you see it or not, they are putting in the work. These dancers also are more likely to perceive corrections as feedback or a tool to help them progress rather than criticism. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has insecure days. But it happens, right? Because we're all human beings. And so we all take corrections the wrong way every once or twice, or every so often, I should say. But these intrinsically motivated, self-confident dancers are more likely to take the feedback as just what it is. Like if I tell you, hey, you're on the wrong leg, they're like, oh, I'm gonna start with the other leg this time. These dancers are also more likely to try challenging things because they know that challenges are part of the learning process, and they know that learning is a process. These are the kids who are like, I'm not supposed to be perfect on everything, but I'm supposed to keep trying. I'm going to get to my goals if I keep trying. These are very often the kids who will learn a variation on their own at home and then want to come in and show it to you. And I love that they went for it and that they are spending the time doing this. I love so many things about it. I don't always love the execution because sometimes the reach and the grasp are like massive mismatches. But the kids who are reaching and are trying things, those are signs that they tend to be intrinsically motivated and self-confident dancers. And another thing about a self-confident dancer is that they find it easier to celebrate somebody else's success, because feeling good about yourself is not a pie. So if so-and-so just did 6 pirouettes and gets a big old giant piece of attention pie, that doesn't take away from them at all. To be fair, celebrating other people's successes comes naturally to some people, and for other people, it's a learned skill. So clearly these two lists are not cut and dry. It's not black and white. It's always a spectrum. There's always nuance. These are just signals to you to look at someone. And if you start to see a lot of one of these signals, one kind of signal, maybe you as the teacher want to change your approach to how you give feedback. Because if all you're giving is praise, or if you are like love bombing with a ton of praise one day and then you're like, but I didn't give any corrections, and then you self-correct and you come in the next day and you give all corrections, and then you notice they all left feeling dejected, and so you self-correct and you give all praise the next day. That ping-ponging back and forth isn't going to help your dancers. The first thing you can challenge yourself to do as a teacher is to eliminate the phrase good job. It's harder than it sounds, and anything related to it. Beautiful, wonderful, no. General blanket statements of I liked that are something that we work to cut out, because a blanket statement doesn't give our students specific information. What was beautiful? What was beautiful? Did my foot stop sickling, or were you looking out the window noticing the sunset? I don't know. So what are we going to replace those with? Because we're not just taking the praise and phasing it out. We have to replace it with specific feedback. Like, I noticed how you lengthened through your waist in that arabesque. Oh, now I noticed how I am slouching in this video. And I'm going to go back to it because it's my house and I'm comfy. Or I noticed that you are really pointing your feet harder in your jumps than you were last week. Thank you for remembering that correction. Or I noticed that you noticed you didn't spot that pirouette and then you went and tried it again. When we name for our students what we noticed and what we liked, it helps them build self-awareness. And then it also starts a dopamine cycle, basically, in the brain. Behaviors that get pointed out specifically are behaviors that are repeated. Right? So this is where, for example, every time I give my dog attention by saying shush because she barked at someone, this is why my dog is so barky, right? I'm giving her attention as a result of the behavior. It doesn't matter if I like the attention or not. that's going to create a cycle. And the same thing happens in our classes, right? If you're always telling someone, don't be so hard on yourself. And listen, I know this the hard way because I was the dancer who was hard on myself. And I remember when I realized my teacher had stopped encouraging me to stop being hard on myself, because being told to not be hard on myself meant that my teacher was noticing me. And if my teacher was noticing me, that meant that I was important to them and I mattered. And then they like broke that feedback loop, and I had to start meeting some of my own needs. I wasn't 6, I was like 16. What you notice out loud gets repeated. There are also 2 different kinds of specific encouragement that we can give. We can be acknowledging effort and we can be acknowledging growth. And they're both important, right? Like, you worked really hard on your releve today, or your grand jeté has gotten so much closer to a flat split this year, or since last month, or whenever. We can acknowledge the process, like the effort, even on days when the outcome was a little in process. But we also need to make sure that we acknowledge the growth on a fairly regular basis. This is why when I teach, I have built-in celebration points in every unit that I teach. And I don't just walk in and look at my lesson plan and say, oh, okay, so today I am celebrating this. But the built-in celebration points remind me, today I am looking for this because we've been working on this concept for a long time, and there probably is evidence of growth, and we probably have all gotten a little bit acclimated to where we're at and forgot how much growth has happened. So building in progress to look for into my curriculum and into my lesson plans has been a really big help for me. And what I've noticed over the years, since I started implementing these really regular, every single unit, there are a few things we can celebrate. Since I started implementing that, my dancers have been more confident when they've gone to audition for things, whether it's community theater or summer programs or university programs. They're more confident. And I think it's because we've developed confidence in themselves and confidence in their process of progress. Also, in an audition, you never get praise. So if you're a praise-dependent person, auditions are going to be like 9 times scarier. And another really fun bonus, integral part? I'm not sure. But another thing I've noticed since I started integrating these celebration points is that we celebrate each other more in class. In fact, I just started working with a new group a few weeks ago, and I don't think that they have had a lot of celebration points because we're doing variations right now. It is summer where I am. I'm doing a lot of summer variations. When we do it in small groups, this group doesn't applaud for each other very much. And when they do, it's very like, it's not fun. It's not celebratory. Also, this same group, this is me realizing things in real time. They do not hold their arms in anything close to a ballet shape if they don't think I'm looking at them, right? So right there, I have 2 indicators that I am now working with a praise-dependent group. So everything I just said, I will be applying in my own life. Leave a comment if you want to follow up, but I'm pretty sure, because I've done this before, by Thanksgiving, so that's like what, 4 months from now, we will have made a significant shift towards internal confidence, and things will get way more fun.